What's up, YouTube, and welcome to my pickups video for the month of April 2022. Got to do a little bit of travel this month. Early in the month, I got to visit a new game con that was in the center of my state of Missouri in Columbia, and it was called, I believe, just the Columbia Game Con. I'm not positive about that. Como Game Con, that's what it was called. A small con is their first year. Hopefully it'll be growing in future years, but decent amount of vendors there and some really good import selection there. I was really surprised at some of the stuff that a couple of the vendors had. Not a whole lot that I needed, but for somebody that's starting out that was really looking to expand with good import games for like Sega Saturn and PC Engine, probably quite a bit of stuff that you would find that would interest you there. I did get one thing from one of those vendors. This was something that has been on my want list for quite some time. This is essentially Twin Cobra 2, or Kyoku Tiger 2, I think is the appropriate Japanese title. I'm sure I butchered it. It's a really uncommon game for the Sega Saturn in Japan, and this was somewhat of a later release, maybe that's why. Was a kind of an interesting release. This the original Twin Cobra game was obviously a Toaplan developed game. Toaplan had dissolved by the time that this game was released in arcades on Taito F3 hardware, and ultimately it was developed by Takumi, which is better known for making games like Mars Matrix and the Giga Wing series. Takumi actually was made up of some ex-Toaplan employees, so this game was actually in the works at Toaplan when the company dissolved, and I think some of the employees carried forward the work and continued it onto this system. Kind of an interesting game, not really a powerhouse shooter, I guess I would say, compared to some of the things on the Sega Saturn, but it does have some nice scaling effects, and I did play it all the way through. Definitely pretty good, easy pick-up and play type of shooter for the system. This one is kind of expensive, and unfortunately it hasn't come out on any other compilations as of yet, but there is a new, there's all these new Toaplan collections, so maybe we'll see this included in a compilation at some point. But definitely one I was very happy to find at the con, and something that I've been looking for a while. Another game I found locally this month, this is a game I've also been looking for, and I just didn't want to pay the price that it's been going for. This is Thrasher Skate and Destroy for the PS1. And of the non-Tony Hawk games for the PS1, I think this is one of the better regarded ones. I haven't had a chance to pop it in and play it just yet, but it has kind of a 80s and 90s hip-hop soundtrack to it, which I do appreciate. So I do think it's kind of an interesting title. It's published by Rockstar, but it was developed by a company called Z-Axis, which doesn't really have the best track record, so we'll see how it is. But for some reason, this game spiked over the last year or two. It's been going for like $30, $40. I didn't want to pay that for it. I thought that was crazy. And one of my local stores got this in at about half that price, so decided to go ahead and jump on it. And hopefully we'll check this out soon. But if you play that one, you can let me know your thoughts on it. Definitely one I've been curious about. The other travel I did this month is I went to a vintage BMW meet in Chattanooga, Tennessee. It was a meet that we haven't had a chance to do since 2019 due to COVID. So it was really good to get out and see that part of the country that I hadn't been to in quite some time. I think our last meet there was in like 2016, so I hadn't really been into that area for quite a while. I did look for vintage video game stores there, of course, and surprise, surprise, there are no vintage game stores, independent stores at least, in Chattanooga that I could find. But there is one about 40 miles away in Cleveland, Tennessee, which I had never been to before. Really great store. I got several things from them you're going to see for the remainder of the video. They did get one game, so they did just recently get a pretty nice TurboGrafx trade-in of HuCard CD games, and I think even some of the Duo releases. And I got a game that's been on my Turbo want list for quite some time, which is Fighting Street. This is, of course, the origins of the Street Fighter series. This was Street Fighter 1, technically, in arcades. And then for some reason, when they brought it to the home release, they rebranded it as Fighting Street. You do play as Ryu in the gameplay. I don't even think you get to select a character. It just seems like that's your only choice. And I played a couple stages of this. It's pretty rough around the edges, but the meat and bones are there of what ultimately became Street Fighter 2, and obviously launched the series to success. This was a very early CD game. I think it might have even been a launch title in Japan, so that's probably explains some of the crudeness. And then in the US, this was an early release for the CD as well. You can always see the early CD games because they have this very generic back on them, and then these came in the cardboard box originally, which this one obviously doesn't have. But other than that, it's all complete, and it was in really nice shape. They had some other good stuff that came in that trade. They had like a complete in the outer box Splatterhouse and some things like that. Just things that I had, but really, you know, nice releases to find in a very obscure store like that you wouldn't expect. So Definitely can recommend it. I think it was called Blasted Machines Tech Shop, so if you're ever in the Cleveland, Tennessee area, you should definitely check that store out. They had a really nice inventory for a store that I wouldn't have expected to have that kind of stuff. What I did really like about that store is they had manuals. I always like game stores that sell loose manuals. Theirs were actually really well organized. They were all bagged. They had prices on them. They were alphabetized. It was really easy to find things on my NES want list. So I really appreciated that and made it easy to shop for those. So I got a few manuals for the NES, nothing too crazy, but I got Goonies 2. This one has cool artwork on it, Three Stooges. Really am a Three Stooges fan. The Three Stooges NES game is not really that great. I think it was based on a PC game, and obviously was intended to be played with a mouse because it doesn't really work good with the NES D-pad. This is a manual that I was really surprised I needed. This is one I probably passed by multiple times, which is, of course, Kid Icarus. And it was on my want list, and I verified when I got home. It was like, sure enough, I did not have this manual. So very happy to get that one, and it was in decent shape. I also got Blue Marlin, so one of the fishing games on the NES. And then this one is Athletic World, which is one of the Power Pad games. Kind of interesting orientation on this one. Has like a vertical orientation, so it's a little bit different than your typical NES manual. So yeah, it was always nice to get a few of those off the want list. They had a really nice selection, just a lot of stuff I already had. The other thing I got that was in the manual box was a poster for an NES game, and I think this is super cool looking. This is for Puss in Boots. Let's see if I can kind of hold it up in multiple places where you can see it all. But really cool artwork. This was based on a Japanese cartoon series and released here probably to very little fanfare. I recently got the box for this game about, I don't know, 6 months ago, and then I already had the manual, so I thought it was complete, and then ultimately I learned that this originally came with the poster, so now my game is truly complete having that piece. But also I just think it's a cool looking poster, so I was very happy to get that at that same store. A couple other manuals I got were for other systems. I got a couple manuals for the original Game Boy. These are some pretty good ones. I got Adventure Island 2, and this is the original Hudson soft pressing of the game. I think this one got a repress, like several of the Hudson games did. And then I also got Contra the Alien Wars. Pretty good one there to find. I'd like to have a box for that one because it's got cool artwork. I got an upgrade for a Sega Genesis manual. Mine was kind of tore up, so this was in great shape comparatively. And that is for Kadash, one of the Taito releases on the Genesis, so very happy to get that. It has pretty cool artwork on it too. And usually you find those, they all have like rental stickers and stuff on them. So that was nice to find in that shape. The other one I got was one that I didn't have, and this is for Double Dragon on the Sega Genesis, which is actually a pretty uncommon game. It was published by this company, Ballistic, and comes in a weird cardboard box thing, so if you ever find that one, definitely check it out, because it has kind of some different artwork on it and things like that that the NES version didn't have. But I did have the box and cartridge for this, so this one is now complete, so that one worked out really well for me. So some really good stuff I found at that store, but that is not the end of it. So I was pretty much ready to leave at that point. I'd already checked out, and I turned around and checked out the back wall of the store, and something caught my eye, and this was an ultimate holy grail for me that I've been looking for years now. It was the last issue of Game Fan magazine that I have been dying to find, and here it is. This is issue 1, volume 1, so the very first issue of Die Hard Game Fan before it even just became Game Fan. Really, really excited to find this at that store. Cool artwork on this one too as well, just being the premiere issue. Really, the format of this one is very similar to a lot of the later Game Fans. They really didn't waver on it too much. The overall tone of the writing is incredibly enthusiastic about whatever they're talking about. Keep in mind, these guys did run a game store that they were selling the magazine out of, so I think their intention was to sell games also. But, you know, really fun to read these. They did cover import games, as you well know. This very first issue had a interview with Yuzo Koshiro and about some of the music that he made for early Genesis games and things like that. So that was kind of neat to see just for a premiere issue. But this was not cheap, but I can tell you I've been outbid on these on eBay for several years when and if they come up for sale, which is very infrequently. So really I'm just ultimately happy to have this collection knocked out. There's one other issue I technically need, which was only available at E3 convention and never was sent to subscribers, and it also never hit newsstands. So that one is kind of like a pig in a poke finding it, but, you know, ultimately I'm pretty happy with my Game Fan collection without it. So really happy to get this. Like I said, it wasn't cheap by any means, but very happy to find it on that trip, and just kind of a neat little souvenir from getting out and doing some travel as well. So I will be adding that to the collection and probably shooting a video of my Game Fan magazine collection in the near future, if that interests you, hopefully. So that is really about it for the month. Pretty pleased with what I got. Not a whole lot, but all things that I was really looking for, so it worked out pretty well. I also realized I just forgot to show you one more game, so please hang on just 1 second. Alright, sorry about the cut there. I forgot that I had one new release that came in that was in the other room, and that is Demon's Tilt for the PS4. This was a limited run release. I think I ordered this back in October, maybe even September. It's been a long time coming. But this is an homage to the Devil's Crush or Dragon's Fury game on the Sega Genesis, which I consider one of my absolute favorite games of the pinball genre and probably one of my favorite games, period. Overall, you know, it is really trying to copy that game style, but it's nowhere near as fun. It doesn't have some of the side quests and things that made the original Dragon's Fury and Devil's Crush such a great game. It also is really set up for like a Tate mode monitor for the most part, because if you play it in traditional horizontal style, you're seeing a lot of borders on the screen. So I don't know if they made the best decision doing that. I mean, obviously it would be great if you had a monitor turned that way, but I'm not committed enough to do that for my PS4. So anyway, kind of a mixed bag. Happy to have it. The music is good in it. I know that's one thing that it's being praised for big time. Is it as good as the original? No. No, it's not. But nice to have this release either way. I always like playing video pinball games, especially ones that were intended to be made as console games. So happy to get it, but a little bit of a mixed bag, and definitely had to wait quite a while. And then the last thing is just the newsletter that Limited Run threw in with it, which was nothing special. It was all based on adventure games this month. So just wanted to show that as I forgot. But thank you very much for watching. Please take a moment, like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you think. And I will talk to you soon. Have a great day or night, wherever you are.